Yeah, thank you everybody for joining this new WeThink podcast on WeThink security. We have here Vira as the moderator, and then we have Diren as the expert, and Vira will present Diren. And the topic today is maritime security, and yeah, looking very much forward to this.
Thank you so much. Happy to see you, Diren, and happy to see you, Inga, online. So today we will talk about lots of questions on maritime security, and I am happy to present Diren Dogan, who is lecturer at Alanya Keykubat University. She's also a China expert at Hybrid Center of Excellence in Helsinki, also academic coordinator working for NATO MARSEC Center of Excellence. Thank you so much, Diren, for being with us. And as you know, last year we had lots of different discussions on strategic environment, and lots of documents were changed. And as we see, for example, strategic compass, strategic concept. So the question, of course, is obvious. How do you see right now security environment? What are main challenges according to you?
Actually, I have just one word in my pocket. It's uncertainty. but today, as we accept today, the global system is transforming, and this is creating a changing security environment. And this environment also brings a new generation of threats. Today, we are talking about hybrid threats, cyber warfare, natural disasters, food security, etc. And it's really important topics, not only for our daily life, but our also global security. When we look to maritime side, there is another picture, I think, because maritime environment, especially in our century, it's so important that everything is connected. Today, from energy to trade or communication or transportation or food, everything depends on the maritime. And also critical infrastructure in maritime domain, also important for our daily life and the future. I think there's a really important point that I mentioned. Just 1 century ago, we supposed that all ships were isolated. But today, every ships and every equipment in the maritime domain are connected in one or other ways, to internet connected or some each other connected, and it's occur new threats such as cyber threats or other threats, and we need to aware these new threats, I think.
Think about regional security, because we talk about regional security and we need to understand also how it works in Eastern Mediterranean, Black Sea region. So what are those risks that we face right now in Eastern Mediterranean and in the Black Sea region?
First of all, I need to mention that Eastern Mediterranean and Black Sea region, totally different regions, not only a geographical perspective, but also, I think, economically or sociologically perspective. For example, I'm a Mediterranean person because I am living in Antalya, and it's the coastline of the Mediterranean Sea. And these societies are so warm or so open-minded society, and they're very willing to solve problems. But when we look to Black Sea region, it's also, we have many cities like the Artvin, Trabzon, Rize or other cities, but there are so logic persons, but also there are so little bit strict, and it's, I think, reflects the international relations of these regions. For example, when we focus on the Eastern Mediterranean, there are many problems or risks that I think we can first mention the border disputes or political tensions, such as cyber issue or maritime borders issue. Or we can mention, it's really close sample for me, but the Greek and Turkish side issue, or the Cyprus, Egypt, Israel gas issue. When we mention these sides, the gas issue, I think we need to mention the hydrocarbon resources and competition over the natural resources, because if we talk about the East Mediterranean Sea, we need to talk about the hydrocarbon resources. There is a really important competition that which country will extract these hydrocarbon resources and will sell or will convert to LNG or other types of hydrocarbon resources. And it's really important point. On the other side, we can talk about the threat of piracy or the terrorism and attacks. But first 2 points: first, the border issues, and secondly, competition of the natural resources, hydrocarbon resources. They are really important and really famous topics. When we focus on the Black Sea side, it's really interesting that I think before the Ukrainian war, or I think before the Russian invasion to the Crimea, we can say that the Black Sea region generally the stable region, but now we need to focus more than East Mediterranean Sea to Black Sea region, because there's an actor that the name is Russia. It's really the powerful and the presence actor. I don't know, is it the good usage of the verb, but we can talk about in the Black Sea, firstly, military tensions, secondly, Russian presence, thirdly, we can talk about the border disputes, because actually I need to little bit open some boxes here, because normally the Black Sea region, especially in the scope of the border disputes, more stable and more the solving problem to the East Mediterranean Sea, because all countries and all sides show their coastline sea, or is a exclusive economic zone or continental shelf. But between Russia and Ukrainian, especially about in the Azov Sea, the Kerch Strait, it's a big problem for both between these two regions. And so we can talk about the border disputes in the Black Sea. On the other side, we can talk about the illegal activities or energy infrastructure problems, because the Black Sea region really important region that in the aspects of the natural resources, because there's an actor that also I need to mention Russia, because Russia is a really big natural or hydrocarbon resources seller, and this region, especially if the countries want to buy some hydrocarbon resources from the Russia, these hydrocarbon resources need to pass through Black Sea region. So end of the day, we can talk about the critical importance of critical energy infrastructure. And lastly, I think I need to mention that the environmental problems, because I remember that the Chernobyl problems, I think, is it accident? Yes, it was an accident, it's Chernobyl accident. And after this accident, especially in Turkey, in the Black Sea side of Turkey, we really talk about the risings of cancer, illness, or other something, and many times we did not buy any fish resources, or we didn't use them, and so we can mention the about the environmental concerns.
Yes, it's very important what you said. So thank you so much, Diren. When we think about Black Sea region and Eastern Mediterranean, what is different in terms of maritime security? What is common according to you?
First of all, as I mentioned before, these regions really different regions, and when we will look to East Mediterranean Sea, we can say that there is really important region, and there's many actors, powerful actors, and each actor has their own claims or own goals. But when we look at the Black Sea region, we can see that there's also many powerful actors, but first of all, Turkey, Russia, and Ukraine. We can talk about these important actors, and we can talk about the region's main problems. On the other side, when we look at the East Mediterranean Sea, there's a so dynamic, so like also important region, but there's a we can talk about NATO, EU, and other countries, such as when we talk about the cyber issue, we even couldn't talk without EU or without United Kingdom in this issue. And we can say that yes, both sides are important, but they are separating each other.
So there are two important players in the region, as we all know, China and Russia. How do you assess the role of China and Russia in those regions?
Actually, I can mention first the China, because as you know, I'm focusing on China. When we look at the East Mediterranean region, we can list Chinese goals or Chinese aims. That's firstly economic interest, because as you also know, the Chinese, some experts defend a Trojan horse Belt and Road Initiative. It's passed through to this region, East Mediterranean region, and this initiative aims to enhance connectivity and trade between China and Europe. And also because of this, the East Mediterranean region also important for China. On the other side, we can talk about the infrastructure projects of China, because also, as I hope you know, there's Greece's, I think it's the pronunciation of Piraeus port. It's really important and really critical point of the Eastern Mediterranean Sea, and the COSCO, which is the like state company of China, the highest owner of this port, and we can talk about the like Chinese infrastructure projects in this region. I think thirdly, we can talk about the Chinese diplomacy and soft power aims, because if we are talking about the China and if we are talking about rising of China, first we need to mention it's also important economic rising, and we already mentioned it. Secondly, we need to talk about Chinese soft power, because China is an actor that always sending message that I want to be peaceful rising. It's really important for me, or win-win. There are really important words and important points, and this region also really good tools to send Chinese like peaceful messages. When we look at the Russia, for example, also we can mention in this region Russian strategic interests, because the Eastern Mediterranean and its warm water ports are there is a strategic importance to Russia, facilitating access to Mediterranean Sea. Because if you are you become the good or the important polar of the world, I'm thinking the perspective of Russia. The Russia must access to warm water ports, because the northern side is really big amount of time of the like freezing. On the other side, we need to, I think, mention Syria conflict, because Russians' intervention in the Syrian civil war, supporting the Assad regime, has strengthened its influence in the region. And now we are talking about the Russian Tartus naval facility. It's really important for not only the, for example, other countries, but also important for Turkey, because as you know also, we are fighting YPG or PKK in this region, also border of the Syrian region. And sometimes in our operations, in Turkish side's operation, our soldiers comes face to face to Russian forces, and it's also a problem for Turkish side. I need to just mention this point. Also, we are talking about the Russians' diplomatic leverage, because also Russia wants to be an important diplomatic actor, and if Russia wants to be the good power of the global system, Russia needs to be East Mediterranean Sea. When we look at the Black Sea region, I think also we need to separate terms, because before I think Russian invasion to the Ukraine, on the China side, we can talk about the energy cooperation or other something, but because of this war, the North Corridor became unworkful, and now we are talking about the Middle Corridor project, which is the Turkey starts this project, but also we can mention the Chinese aims to economic cooperation or economic enlargement, engagement, or trade connectivity. On the other side, when we look at the Russia side, we can talk about military presence, as I mentioned before. It's really important because the Black Sea region this is close, really close, and if also China wants itself in security, these regions need to be stable. And we need to mention it. Also, we need energy exports. As we all know, we are talking about these days Green Deal between Russia, Turkey, and Ukraine. And it's also important for Russia. On the other side, we can think about Russia's global or geopolitical aims in this region.
There are definitely so different interests, so many interests, and we need also to understand all these interests and also to understand what to do with this, how to counteract, of course, all these risks. So the question to you will be, what are the means to counteract these risks? If you think about also maritime security projects, maybe you know some project that is beneficial for the Black Sea region, also for the Eastern Mediterranean region, and the most important, of course, what is the role of Turkey?
Unfortunately, there is no any solution projects such as Code of Conduct in the South China Sea, but I think we need the new regulations in this region, not only in this region, but also according to me, all global systems. But some international law experts argue that even new regulations can blur more than before these regions or the international security problems. But I think I need to mention that we need new regulations, not only in UNCLOS, but also general, all international law systems. On the other side, when we look at the Turkish perspective, it's really important for me that to mention our leader, whose name is Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, mentioned that peace at home, peace in the world. And we have our Blue Homeland Doctrine. It's a really important doctrine because mentioned that all seas must be stable. Not only East Mediterranean Sea, but also Black Sea and Aegean Sea. And when we look at the Turkey's role, it's really important and stabilized role because I think just 1 or 2 minutes ago, we talked about the Black Sea region, and if Black Sea region needs to be stabilized, Turkey has a really important role because, as you also mentioned, Turkish Straits giving permit all ships to, if the ships want to go to Black Sea region, they must take permit from Turkey because of these Turkish Straits, Bosporus and Çanakkale Straits. And Montreux is also important point of this region, and Turkey has a top of these agreements and as an owner of these ports, these straits, and really settle the important point. On the other side, as you asked to solutions or regulations, we can talk about firstly information sharing because all actors has their information, but all sides talking each others, but we need the general information sharing. Secondly, we need to, I think, new such as code of conduct or regional agreements, because both region, I'm not only talking about the Black Sea region, actually the tensions rising here than the East Mediterranean Sea, but also we need to talk about the East Mediterranean Sea. But I need to mention that, for example, we are talking about, we can remember that EastMed project, which is conducted the side of the Eastern Mediterranean Sea, but out of the Turkey. I think we need to talk about the new regulations or new regional agreements, but it's composed all sides. It's really important. We need the table to talk about each other, everything. It's really important. Also, we need to develop capacity building. It's really important, especially the NATO perspective. It's important, I think. Also, we can talk about the cooperation with international organizations like EU, NATO, or other organizations, other food organizations, climate organization, every organizations. And lastly, maybe I need to mention that again, we need to good critical energy infrastructure and critical infrastructure protection process, because it's our future and it's composed everything that we ensure our life, daily life.
Yes, definitely. So when we think about forecast and foresight, I think it's very challenging sometimes to think about future. Of course, we need to think about it. So how can you forecast, of course, maritime security risk in the short term?
It's a really hard question, Vera, because I think firstly, as I mentioned before, the critical attacks to the critical infrastructure or critical energy infrastructure, as I saw the last case to the Nord Stream attack. This point is a really important point and a really dangerous point. Secondly, we need to focus on harbor protection or underwater communication cables protection, because these cables carrying, I think, more than 98% of our data. And if any attacks to these critical infrastructure sectors can be and many big problems, or can result in very big problems. And I think we need to focus on unmanned systems or artificial intelligence in these systems, especially in the maritime domain, in the maritime environment. And I think these points can be important risks in the short term.
And what about long term? I think that is even more challenging. So how can you forecast that, of course, maritime security challenges in long term?
I think the long term, I will little bit look my South China Sea perspective because I'm writing my PhD thesis, as you know. I think we need to aware that gray zone tactics. For example, because it is really sensitive and really risky topic. Today, for example, we are talking about in the South China Sea, Chinese artificial islands or maritime militia. And if we can't define, if our international law or UNCLOS can't define these behaviors, other disputed regions can use these tactics. For example, I want to give an example and to compare Aegean Sea and the South China Sea region. There's a dispute in the South China Sea region, and the really major perspective of the Aegean Sea region, because in the Aegean Sea region there are just two actors, Turkish side and the Greece side, but in the South China Sea region there's a more than five or six actors that claims in this region. But if we can't define Chinese coercion activities or gray zone tactics, hybrid tactics in the scope of the international law rule or international law, other actors such as Turkey or Greece can use same tactics in the Aegean Sea or other regions that conflicts regions or boiling regions. So we need to, I think, define, and we need to focus on gray zone tactics. Secondly, I think we need to focus on climate change, because I know that it's really it can become a softly topic, but it's a really important topic, and the water's level are rising, and this is occurring new threats or new attacks to the daily life. I think we need to focus on it. And lastly, I think we need to also focus on food crisis or food transformation. Or is it all no, food transiting? Yes, we need to focus on food transiting because it's really important. Today we are talking about the Green Deal, And it's really important, not only for the region of the Black Sea, but also for Africa, Asia country, or other countries. And in the general perspective, we need to focus on it, I think.
So finally, Diren, what are your recommendations? How to strengthen this maritime security? What should be done? And what is the role of NATO? What is the role of other organizations or private sector in it?
In my opinion, firstly, we need to focus on and maintain or enhance maritime situational awarenesses. It's a really important point. And when we look at NATO perspective, NATO is a really important actor in this term because, for example, I'm focusing on hybrid threats in the South China Sea. And when I started my literature research, I found that even the United States mentioned firstly hybrid threats. We can find many resources in the NATO library or NATO meeting, and we can understand that NATO is important actor to become I think it's a real good definition to be shake other actors. It's threats, and we need to focus on as a NATO to these threats. It's really important. And I have an example in this region. Also, for example, NATO we are talking about NATO's critical undersea infrastructure coordination cell, or we can talk about the undersea communication cable cell. There are really important steps according to me. And also we can talk about some NATO drills in East Mediterranean Sea or all over the world, such as the Operation Sea Guardian or Operation Ocean Shield. There are really important operations, not only about the actors who is participating or participant in NATO, but also all actors, such as the African actors or other actors. I think NATO has a really important role in the stability of every point of the world, especially in the maritime domain, and one of the most powerful actor in this topic.
Thank you so much, Diren. I think I will pass the floor right now to Inga if Inga has some questions.
Yeah, thank you very much. I was just wondering, do you have some information on this, what NATO is planning to do for the protection of the seafloor infrastructure?
Yes.
And what do you think about that?
I think it's a really important point because it became last, I think, 1 year popular, especially in the academia or general academia, international academia. But we worked together, Marsexui, on the project of critical infrastructure, and we focused on, we wrote together a study paper on maritime critical infrastructure and protection. And when I wrote this paper, I understood that really important underwater communication cables. It's not only about carrying 98% of our data, but also intelligence perspective, because there's a really sensitive cables that go through undersea, but carrying really important information, not only people, but also governments or the international actors. And I think I can a little bit criticize at this point, NATO become a little bit late to found or to create this organization cell, but NATO also mentioned, I think 5 or 10 years ago, this importance of these cables, and so it's a really important point for NATO members.
Mm-hmm. And what is the targets that you have underwater is first of all communication cables, and then it's pipelines probably, and maybe intelligence collection like SOSUS.
The other
barrier.
Countries targets? Are you asking the other countries' targets to attack?
No. What would be attacked from NATO membership countries?
I think they will first focus on enhancing these capabilities, especially protection capabilities, because underwater communication cables, they are so weak to protect, because they are going through the undersea. But there's another problem is that I think it's really important point. The companies which are working on the underwater communication cables are generally Chinese companies. And in the protection process, they can add the backdoor in these cables, and it's a really intelligence problems, or the risks of intelligence countries and NATO countries. On the other side, we are focusing on harbor protection and critical energy protection, as also know, critical energy infrastructure protection. They are really important because we can face in this. We aware that the energy is really important point for all countries, especially for EU and NATO countries. And we aware that after the Ukrainian war, Russia is a really important actor. But we need to focus on new energy actors, new energy ways. And the critical energy infrastructure protection also important point on this perspective. But I need to mention another critical infrastructure sector, that it's electricity, because everything working with electricity, and we are really depending on this sector. And so I believe that also it's depends on the energy. It's like we are really big amount of depends electricity, and it depends energy, it depends LNG. So we can't focus on directly one critical infrastructure sectors, but we need the general perspective of all sectors. But firstly, energy, transportation, telecommunication, and water. There are both lifeline sector. We can define them lifeline sectors, and there are really important sectors to enhance not only daily life, but also general the global system.
What is the major threat to these underwater infrastructure? Is it so it's probably state sponsored at least, because it's probably not that easy to sabotage an underwater pipeline?
I mention directly countries? The problem is that
sure.
Yes, I think the China is really big risks for these infrastructures, critical infrastructure, because China is really logic actors, and when we research these sectors, as I mentioned, such as the global undersea communication cables, we can solve that 10 or 20 years ago, China started to focus on these sectors. Or when we focus on for example, solar systems, we can saw that China is the best seller of these solar systems. And I think we need to focus on the countries that need to reshape global system or reshape global security, and maybe China can come first, then Russia one step forward, I think.
From Chinese side, you see cyber threat as the major threat.
Yes, it is also there. I think really important. It's really interesting that, for example, I'm focusing on Chinese hybrid threats, and China has a really big range of threat tools. For example, economic coercion, cyber threats, or even, for example, the critical infrastructure or the diplomatic threats. Really, China is a really complicated actor. But I need to mention that on the one or another point, we need to work together with China. It's on the another side, because the Chinese sectors and really they are really linked with state. And we can define them half state sectors. We can see them everywhere of life, every point of life, every company, or every even for example, I need to mention the Turkish perspective. The Turkish Military Academy opened the telecommunication company, and China really willing to by this selling, because intelligence is everything, and I think we need to focus on this side. I'm not the United States-based person. I need to mention it because I know that the United States every time shaking all countries. This is a Chinese threats. I don't need to mention it, but we need to aware of threats. Not only the general threats, but also threats that's coming from other countries.
Mm-hmm. And for other countries, the threat is probably then more physical, so physical sabotage somewhere at the seafloor or the end stations and land. Yeah.
Yes, of course. I think we are enhancing our capacity. I'm talking about not only from Turkish perspective, but also NATO perspective, because during this study paper writing process, I really observed many studies, not only the academic studies, but also like military strategies, which are really focused on to enhance undersea capability or the maritime capability. And NATO, especially NATO, really focus on this point, maritime situational awareness point, and it's really important. And as Stoltenberg mentioned that, I think it's really important. NATO is strong as its weakest link, and we need the general development, general enhancing, and also all actor in NATO has an important role, especially in this field.
Is NATO currently focusing more on the intelligence side, so detecting before and exchanging information?
I think yes, but I'm not expert of the intelligence. But as I read, really focusing on intelligence side. But I think, as I also read, the form of intelligence also changing, and I think we can divide the old intelligence systems and new intelligence systems, especially with artificial intelligence or such as the underwater systems intelligence. And I think NATO enhancing its capacity day by day.
Mm-hmm. Are you aware kind of any programs of underwater surveillance using unmanned vehicles? Is this happening, or is this still
actually
for the detection and protection?
Actually, I don't have any information, but I have information the role of Russian the underwater systems, unmanned systems especially, and Chinese unmanned systems. And I remember that Russia's, I think Rashorik, the name was, but it can be wrong, I'm not sure. Really successful underwater unmanned systems, and can detect directly, can collect directly data from underwater communication cables, from all the line cables, and I don't know any other information on this.
Do you see kind of threats to underwater infrastructure that would happen like in a hybrid environment? If you, or would this be kind of only like would you only see this in a war-like environment, like as we have seen in Nord Stream?
Sorry, please continue.
Yeah, no, that was the question.
I think of course, because I think the global system is turning shadow war, and if a country doing something really is it, I think showing. How can I define this? I don't know. That if a country doing something but secretly, I think we need to focus this actor, because the system is turning the shadow war, and we can understand that the maritime environment becoming really important day by day. I think just 5 centuries ago we are talking about the century of maritime. I think it was the 16th century or 15th century, the importance of maritime. But now I think for 21st century, we will also talk about the importance of maritime. Because why? Because we are talking about in the continental the borders everywhere, but In the maritime side, there are no extract borders. There are really important threats, and everything passing through this, everything connected to maritime side, such as food, transportation, energy, communication, everything connected with maritime side, and it's becoming more important day by day, I think.
Yeah. How do you see like Russian presence in the Mediterranean during and maybe how during this war in Ukraine? And how do you think it's going to be in the future?
Again, please, I'm sorry.
Yeah, how this is developing? Do you see it like also in the future? Is that going to increase or maybe decrease because of?
In the Eastern Mediterranean Sea?
Generally in the Mediterranean, yeah.
I think.
Or Eastern Mediterranean, that case.
Really, I don't know, because it's a really interesting actor that, as you know, maybe I can a little bit mention Turkish side's role in this dispute, Ukrainian and Turkish side disputes. And one of the NATO member country, Turkish side wants to be stay middle of the both sides. But it's also showed that Russia is not enough good partner for Turkey, because we have really competition in the East Mediterranean Sea or the Syrian border, and I think we lost. It was the 2008, or I don't remember the exact time, but we lost many our military persons to the air attack of Russia, and our citizens will never forget this lost. And when we focus on the Russian side, I think Russia will be focused on more Black Sea than East Mediterranean Sea in the next time, because it's losing of power and losing of the energy, and need to focus on more Black Sea than East Mediterranean Sea, in my opinion. And there is we can see that the resolution day by day between the Syrian, Assad, Turkey, Iran. But Russia sides every time wants to be the actor that creates a table in this side, and we can saw that at the next times, for example, our president Assad or the Iranian president will meet to Moscow, for example, to discuss these problems. We can see it.
Okay. And in the long term, like, what about China and the Mediterranean? So, Piraeus port is like, do you see also there more activity, or how would you say?
Really, I don't know. Because why? I can't believe Greece how give permit to buy such a big amount of Piraeus port is really important and really strategic point, especially in perspective of Eastern Mediterranean Sea and the perspective of NATO. And I can't believe Greece, even I really love my Greece friends, but I can't believe it. And we need, I think, in the next times, NATO members will focus on, because of this sample, because of the Piraeus port sample, to be more aware Chinese infrastructure projects or the Belt and Road Initiative projects. But the problem is that China, the actor that has a really big amount of money, and maybe you can remember that when Italy firstly opened its ports or harbor to the Chinese investments, other EU actors asked to Italy why you are doing it, and Italy said that I was in the crisis and I went to your door, and the EU said to me, we don't have any money. And after this process, I opened my door, the Belt and Road investments. So in this perspective, we need to aware that the global, I think it's the global money going to the Asia. Is it true usage? I'm not sure, Vira, but the global currency, yes, global currency going to the Asia, and we need to develop our economically. Even I'm talking about the Turkish citizens because, as you know, our economy is so weak, but we need to enhance it, and we need to focus. I think collect our economic power and economic stability. Because if we want to resist Chinese investments, I'm talking as the NATO member country, we need, if you want to resist Chinese investments, really big investments, we need to powerful economy.
Yeah, thank you.
You're
That's
welcome.
all from my side. Do you want to add something, Diren or Vira?
I think that Diren was very good in all questions and answers, and I think it was quite comprehensive. So,
cool. Yeah, thank you very much from my side for your opinions, Diren.
Thank you very much. Really, it is my second conversation with my friends. I'm so happy to be your program, and thank you too.
Thank you.
thank you, Diren.